Chapter 5. The bell rang, and after the teachers left the classroom, the students in the classroom began to move. In the corridor outside the long row of classrooms, the teachers passing by with textbooks and the students coming out to exercise curiously looked at the two people standing in the corridor. There was no lack of ridicule and contempt among them. In the eyes of the students, those who were punished by the teachers were bad students. Naturally, they would not be friendly to bad students. Some of the students who passed by did not even bother to look at them and completely ignored them. Of the two people who were punished, the student on the left had a smile on his face and looked a little frivolous. This person was quite famous in the nearby classes because he was thick-skinned and was the type of person who repeatedly violated the rules. He was a typical bottom feeder. At this moment, this person was talking to a classmate who came out of the classroom. He did not feel that he was punished at all. To him, this was a common occurrence and was not a big deal. The person on the right had his head lowered and was expressionless. Of course, because his head was lowered, even if he had an expression, it would not be seen by his classmates. "Hey, why are these two people in your class being punished?" Someone in the next class whispered to someone they knew. "You know our class's Song Ning, right?" The person who was asked gave a you-know look. The surrounding students had an "oh, so that's why" expression. Song Ning from the third class was beautiful, had good grades and a good personality. Every time she got into the top 10 in the exam, the teachers in the class would mention it. Many people were chasing after her, but Song Ning was not interested in them at all. She was a typical good student. In less than half a day, the whole grade knew that Jiao Wei and Qing Feng from the third class were punished by the teacher for fighting over Song Ning. There were many people in each class who loved to gossip. Half a day was enough for them to know about it. Qing Feng was still in the mood to talk to the students passing by. He snorted and pouted at Jiao Wei. He complained to a few people who were close to him, "Crazy can't take AF *King joke." Sometimes he spoke a little casually. He didn't expect that a casual joke would cause Jiao Wei to fight with him. Was there a need for that? Seriously, after the morning class, the two of them were led to the office by the homeroom teacher for further education. Facing the teacher's scolding, the two of them lowered their heads. However, the two of them had completely different feelings. One of them didn't care and just wanted to get through this scolding, while the other felt embarrassed. Jiao Wei was already embarrassed that he had been standing in the corridor for people to watch in the morning. Now he was being lectured by the head teacher. Listening to the head teacher's increasingly harsh words, Jiao Wei clenched his fists. His sensitive self-esteem had been whipped again and again. Something in his heart was about to explode. "Do you know what you look like? You guys are like rat shit that fell into a pot of good porridge." Not only were they bad, but they also made the whole class lose face with them. They were just like that famous Shao guy from your junior high school, scum. Trash of society. The head teacher was very young. He was only 30 years old. It was said that he graduated from a famous teachers' college in the country. He had only been in the position for 2 years. He did things by the book and claimed to be righteous. He clearly separated the good from the bad using his own standards. He would start scolding whoever crossed the line. Some people said that this head teacher did not know how to be tactful with his words. He was harsh and merciless. Today Jiao Wei and Qing Feng had crossed the line again. If he did not scold them to his heart's content, he would not stop. He did not even think about eating lunch. The head teacher did not think that the person in front of him would dare to resist. Even the old fox, Qing Feng, had been scolded more than 10 times without any accidents. Unexpectedly, when he was scolding, there was a sudden sound from the table. The teacher's table in front of him had been flipped. Moreover, the person who flipped the table was Jiao Wei, who did not have any bad records. Even the old fox, Qing Feng, was so shocked that his eyes widened. The head teacher reacted quickly. After being stunned, he became angrier. He looked at Jiao Wei and said, "What do you want?" Flipping the table, "Your temper is worse than mine. I can't even talk to you. If you have the guts, don't come to school." Jiao Wei turned and walked out, ignoring the head teacher's words. Therefore, on the same day, Jiao Wei fought with a classmate. He stood in the corridor outside the class for half a day as punishment. Then he flipped the table with the head teacher. Soon, the head teacher found Jiao Wei's parents for a talk. In the afternoon, Jiao Wei went back to the shop near the school to rent a house. He did not go to school. His parents were called by the head teacher for a talk. When they came back, they wanted to say something to Jiao Wei, but they could not bear to scold him. They secretly discussed using money to send gifts to the head teacher and the school leaders. After all, Jiao Wei had to go back to school. They were also worried that the school would give him a demerit. They did not know if it would be recorded in the records. The school was looking for a bad example. From the head teacher's words, it seemed that the school had their eyes on Jiao Wei. The head teacher did not really want to expose it. If everyone knew about it, wouldn't he and his class be embarrassed? But at that time the school leaders happened to pass by and did not let it go. Go and buy some high-end things. The people in town are not like the people in our village. They have higher standards. If you want to treat them to a meal, go to Luxury House or Wang Ting. I heard that they are very high-end. Is 5,000 renminbi enough? Do you want me to go and get more? Jiao Wei's parents were discussing. When they took out the money from the cupboard, Jiao Wei happened to see them coming out. He heard what his parents said just now. Looking at the stack of money in his father's hand, he did not know what to feel. His parents woke up early and went to bed late every day. They could not wait to use the money. But at this time they were very decisive and did not hesitate to take out the money. 5,000 renminbi would take them a few months of hard work. After entering high school, Jiao Wei didn't focus on his studies. He had always been in the lower middle class and didn't think about how many books he had to study in the future. When he came out, he really thought about not studying in the future. He could do something by himself. Many people in the village went out to work and sent home a lot of money every year. Many of his junior high school classmates also did not study. No one could not survive. Don't go. I don't want to study. Jiao Wei said in a hoarse voice. What are you talking about? How can you not study? The first person who strongly objected was Jiao Wei's mother. She was usually the most thrifty woman. She was very firm in her opposition. Yes, we can't not study. It's okay. You wait at home first. I will go and find the teacher. Don't worry. Jiao Wei's father said. Jiao Wei's father usually liked to talk about his friend who went to the provincial capital to teach at Tsinghua University. Compared to himself, he naturally hoped that Jiao Wei would study like his friend. The couple used to work in the fields and later started a small business. Although they could barely be considered as businessmen, their characters were still the same as before. They were simple and honest. They were not like other people who knew how to get things done. They also did not use their connections and had never asked for gifts from others. When they came back, they even asked other people about it. Jiao Wei had seen people from his school go to the school leaders. In short, with the style of those leaders, people like him who were at the bottom of the social ladder had to bring 2 or 3 gifts. They did not bring any self-respect or integrity when they went to ask for help. After his parents left, Jiao Wei did not stay at home. His heart was flustered. He felt wronged, regretful, guilty, resentful, and other indescribable things. He wanted to cry, but he couldn't. Jiao Wei could not stay at home. He decided to go out and walk aimlessly. The night was already dark. Jiao Wei walked through the brightly lit streets and continued to walk along the deserted road. When he was tired, he would rest for a while before continuing to walk. The further he walked, the wider the road became. This road was already far from the town center. The road was wider than the town center, but there were not many people on both sides. It was not as bustling as the town center. No matter how wide the road was, there were not many cars on it. After walking for a long time, he reached the outskirts of the town. The road was no longer flat and wide. There were no street lights and there were large tracts of farmland on both sides. Under the moonlight, the crops in the farmland swayed with the wind. From time to time, there would be some cat meowing or other strange sounds. For many people, this scene was a bit eerie. However, Jiao Wei did not feel afraid. Perhaps it was because of his mood. After walking for a while, he sat down and did not mind the dirt. Jiao Wei's mood was very complicated. He did not know what was going on in his mind. He stared at the farmland in front of him for the whole night. He did not feel sleepy at all. It was a bit cold at night, but Jiao Wei endured it and sat there the whole time. There were very few people in the outskirts of the town. There were only a few cars passing by all night. It was not until dawn that a few people appeared. They looked curiously at Jiao Wei, who was sitting beside them. However, they did not go over to talk to him. They were busy with their own things. They rode their bicycles and left without stopping. Everyone was busy with their own things. Jiao Wei thought about it for the whole night but could not figure out anything. He was at a loss and did not dare to go home. He did not dare to see anyone he knew. Was he going to continue to stay here? At this time there was the sound of a motorcycle passing by. Probably because the road was not easy to travel on, the motorcycle was not fast. Originally, Jiao Wei did not plan to pay attention to it. However, he did not expect the motorcycle to drive back and stop a few steps away from Jiao Wei. Jiao Wei. The person on the motorcycle took off his helmet and asked. Seeing Jiao Wei look over, the person on the motorcycle was happy. Oh, it's really you. What's wrong? Are you playing truant? It's not the weekend today. Jiao Wei did not expect to see this person here. This person was Jiao Wei's junior high school classmate. He was also the gangster, scum, and social trash mentioned by their homeroom teacher yesterday. Gangster Zhao's grades were not good. Although he was not the worst, he was still at the bottom. He was impatient with his books and stopped studying after he graduated from junior high school. In the past 2 years, Jiao Wei had seen this person a few times. However, they did not talk. It was not that he did not know him. Right now, Jiao Wei did not want to pay attention to this person. He did not want to say a word, nor did he want to see anyone he knew. Gangster Xiao did not care about Jiao Wei's attitude. He leaned against his broken motorcycle and took out a cigarette. His legs were shaking as he took pleasure in Jiao Wei's misfortune. It was as if he was saying, "Little guy, I didn't expect you to have such a day. You're in trouble now, aren't you?" Jiao Wei ignored him. Gangster Xiao started talking to himself. He talked about his small business and achievements after graduation. He also made fun of Jiao Wei and his former classmates. After talking for a long time, Jiao Wei did not say anything. Gangster Xiao smacked his lips. Jiao Wei, I know you people look down on me. I don't care about you people. What you think has nothing to do with me. However, since I've met you and you look so unkempt, I'll say a few words. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. Gangster Xiao held the cigarette between his fingers and flicked the butt skillfully. My brain can't learn those profound things you read. I didn't go to high school either. In your eyes, I'm just a gangster. But can anyone be a gangster? Some people are gangsters their whole lives. They go from a pool of good water to a stinking quagmire and then completely rot. But some people can make a name for themselves. Do you know what it means to make a name for yourself? Jiao Wei still did not say anything. Instead, he turned his head and looked at his junior high school classmate. Seeing that Jiao Wei finally responded, Gangster Xiao became even more excited. He threw away the cigarette butt and crushed it with the tip of his foot. He raised his chin towards the field. Do you know what that is? Jiao Wei looked over. The morning sun had begun to appear, showing the vitality of the first day. Morning sun. Jiao Wei said. Tisk. Gangster Xiao snorted disdainfully. Gangster Xiao no longer leaned on the motorcycle. Instead, he took a step towards the field. Looking at the large field in front of him, he raised his hand and pointed. Over there, and a large field over there will all be mine. You want to farm here? Jiao Wei did not look down on farmers. His family also farmed. However, based on his understanding of Gangster Xiao, he really could not figure out why he would want to buy land. Gangster Xiao choked when Jiao Wei said farm. He wanted to say pig brain, but when he thought of this person's grades in the middle school examination, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Instead he said, with that brain of yours you can only study. Don't think about pursuing a career like mine. You won't be able to play. Also, don't think about learning to work in a business like others. You'll definitely be scammed. Looking at the large field, Gangster Xiao raised his arms with an intoxicated look on his face. Jiao Wei, do you believe that this place will become a bustling district and a new town center? Jiao Wei looked at the large field in front of him and shook his head. He could not imagine it. Gangster Xiao only gave him a superficial look and did not explain. Instead, he looked at the field and continued, a lot of people say to me, you've missed the best time to rise up. It's too late to rise up now. However, I don't accept it. It's too late. It's not too late. As he spoke, Gangster Xiao became agitated. You're looking down on me? Bah. I'm the one looking down on you. At least I know what I want to do. I know what my future path is. Do you know that? Other than staying in the classroom all day with your books and doing whatever the teacher tells you to do, what else do you know? Have you found your path? It'll take at least a few years to find your path. Right now, my starting point is higher than yours. As for whether you can fly a high-tech airplane and surpass my lousy motorcycle in the future, that depends on whether you have the ability. Some people like to drive around aimlessly even if they're driving a sports car. Besides, maybe my motorcycle will be replaced by a big Benz in the future? If it was someone else, they might not be able to understand these words. However, Jiao Wei understood. A language teacher in his class used to give an example. He said that everyone's starting point was the same. It was just that some people started with a big Benz while others pulled a wooden cart. Even if the starting point was the same, the speed would naturally be different. However, knowledge was a kind of armed force. There was a house of gold in the books. Although the person pulling the wooden cart was lagging behind, he might be able to fly a plane and surpass it in the future. He said that studying was the only way out for the poor. And people like Gangster Xiao were the bad examples that all the teachers talked about. It was no wonder that Gangster Xiao was so resentful. It seemed that he was very clear about the teacher's impression of him. After Gangster Xiao vented enough of his resentment and ambition, he took 2 deep breaths and looked at Jiao Wei from the corner of his eyes. There's an old saying that says, "The higher you fly, the further you can see." Don't think that you've done your best just by flapping your wings. As for how high you can fly, you'll only know when you've flown. You think the sky is falling just because you've been wronged? You're like a sissy. I can't stand your cowardice. You'll have to learn from me. Gangster Xiao paused, then arrogantly used his standard dialect to say a sentence in English. I am a Xianxia. Jiao Wei, Gangster Xiao had said enough. He got on the motorcycle and put on his helmet. He still cherished his life. Jiao Wei stood up with some difficulty. He moved his legs that were numb from sitting for too long. Give me a ride. F***ck off. We're on different paths. No ride. Gangster, I'll take my crappy motorcycle and leave first. You should go back and build your intellectual plane. That's all you can do with your brain. Find a direction and fly quickly. Of course, if you don't do well, you can come back and work for me. Since we were junior high school classmates, I'll give you a higher salary. Before he finished speaking, he had already sped away on his motorcycle. Looking at the motorcycle leaving dust in the air, and then looking at the endless road, Jiao Wei suddenly realized that he really seemed to have run far away. He didn't see any cars on the road, so he had to walk back. A cat scurried out from the field next to him. It looked at Jiao Wei, then continued to run into the field to catch swaying leaves. On the other side of the field, there was a small residential building with bricks and tiles in his line of sight. Someone shouted a few times in his direction, followed by the sound of bowls being knocked on. The cat that was playing with leaves in the field immediately stood up and ran in that direction. As it ran, it meowed as if it was responding. Jiao Wei raised his hand to block the sunlight to take a look. He took a deep breath and started to walk back along the road. He hadn't been home the whole night. He hadn't called either. His parents were probably so worried that they hadn't slept the whole night. 10 years later, a car stopped in front of Tsinghua University. Jiao Wei got out of the car. He had followed his doctoral supervisor to a company that had a collaboration project. His supervisor had a house nearby, so he dropped Jiao Wei off on the way back. Jiao Wei went to his family's small restaurant to eat before entering the university. He had a few documents that needed to be stamped by the institute. Jiao Wei didn't walk far along the main campus road when he heard someone calling him. He followed the voice and saw a person with a smiling face running towards him. Qingfeng, why didn't you call me when you came over? Jiao Wei smiled and said to the person, the company organized a training here. I thought you weren't here. Didn't you say you had something to do a while ago? Did you just come back? Qingfeng wiped the sweat off his forehead. They said it's training for cadres, but they actually want to do military training. Damn, I haven't been trained like this since my first year in university. So hot. Luckily, your school has a lot of trees. The quality of the female students in your school is pretty good. My school was focused on engineering and it was filled with monks. Even if the girls there looked like frogs, they would have already been booked. Hey, look, that girl has a nice body. Don't you already have a wife? Jiao Wei asked. Hey, I'm not with you now. Look at your serious face. You haven't improved at all. Qingfeng's eyes wandered over to the few girls who were walking over as he spoke. Jiao Wei smiled. Qingfeng was always like this. They had fought many times before, but they became close after that. They were like that when they were students. They would beat each other until their faces were swollen. Maybe they would call each other brothers in the next match. Who hadn't done a few stupid things before? Teenagers had the impulsiveness of teenagers, and adults had the way of thinking of adults. After leaving school for a few years, Qingfeng was naturally more mature in judging people and situations. What happened in high school? At that time, it was just some unimportant friction, straightforward. As a man, he wouldn't fuss over the trivial matters of the past. After leaving school and entering society, you would realize that the people who called you brothers in one moment could backstab you in the next. The friendship from high school could be maintained until now, so Qing Feng cherished it very much. Last year, during a high school reunion, Qing Feng even dragged Jiao Wei to drink. Not only Qing Feng but Jiao Wei's homeroom teacher was also there. The homeroom teacher from back then, who was strict and harsh with his words, had changed. He had been a homeroom teacher for more than 10 years and he had taught each batch of students. He also had his own understanding. During the reunion, he even chatted with Jiao Wei and Qing Feng about what happened back then. The three of them were quite calm. Qing Feng even drank a few glasses with the homeroom teacher and called each other brothers. As he clinked glasses with the homeroom teacher, Qing Feng said, "Homeroom teacher, back then you said that we were social trash. Look, haven't we become social elites now?" The homeroom teacher also smiled. "Back then I was angry that you didn't fight for it. I'm also gratified that you're like this now. Speaking of which, back then you all listened to me when I lectured you." At this point, the homeroom teacher looked at Jiao Wei. Jiao Wei coughed and rubbed his nose. He recalled the time when he flipped the table in front of the homeroom teacher. "What's there to be embarrassed about? I'm also responsible." The homeroom teacher clinked glasses with Jiao Wei and drank a mouthful of wine before saying, "You also worked hard. When you were admitted to Tsinghua University, the principal was so happy that he took his precious wine and dragged your father to drink with him a few times." After drinking the wine in his glass, the homeroom teacher smiled as Qing Feng poured another glass of wine. "I really miss the past. It's not like now. Those students can't be talked to or touched. They're so delicate. Just a few words and they'll drag their parents over to quarrel. Otherwise, they'll take out their phones and scold them. Regardless of whether it was the students with good grades or the ones at the bottom of the class, the balding middle-aged man recognized the students who had changed a lot and recalled each and every one of them. Those were the students he had taught. Other than the homeroom teacher, Hooligan Xiao, who had now become a big boss, had also changed. The farmland area back then had become the new economic center of the town. Not only in the town, but Hooligan Xiao had also made a name for himself in the city. Speaking of Hooligan Xiao, although Qing Feng was not in the same class as Jiao Wei and Hooligan Xiao in junior high, he still knew Hooligan Xiao and had contacted him later. "Some time ago, during my nephew's first birthday party, I met Hooligan Xiao when I went back to my hometown. That kid drove a big Benz and looked like a dog. When he came out, he even had bodyguards behind him. I heard that he's some famous entrepreneur in the city. He often comes into contact with the city leaders. Even the boss of the new building in the city is related to that kid." "Oh right, Hooligan Xiao said that he would treat us to a meal at his new hotel this new year," Qing Feng said. "I might have to disappoint you," Jiao Wei said regretfully. "What's wrong?" Before Jiao Wei could speak, Qing Feng made a stop gesture. "Don't talk to me about this project or that project. I don't understand. Just tell me more clearly." "I'm going abroad in December this year. I'm working on a project with my supervisor's former teacher. I won't be back for about 2 years. I should have gone last year, but I had something to do here." 2 years? Postgraduate? Qing Feng felt that it was a pity. He guessed that Jiao Wei would not be able to make it to his wedding. "What about after 2 years? Stay abroad? Or come back?" "Come back. I plan to stay in school." "That's good. Our company is not far from here. I can come and drink with you often." Qing Feng smiled. After a pause, he winked at Jiao Wei. "I heard that Song Ning is studying for a doctorate here?" "Yes, but she's in the management school." "Don't fool me. Tell me something I don't know, okay? What's our relationship?" "We're brothers. What's there to be embarrassed about?" Jiao Wei smiled and looked at the road in front of him. He did not say anything. The tall sycamore trees on both sides of the road blocked out the scorching sun above. Only a few tiny specks of light sprinkled down. Gusts of wind blew past, dispersing the heat brought by the August heat. 10 years ago, the hooligan who rode a broken motorcycle pointed to a large piece of farmland and talked about his glorious future. 10 years ago, the person beside him fought with him and stood in the corridor with a bloody nose and a swollen face as punishment. The two of them hated each other. 10 years ago, the young man who couldn't find a way forward had a stupid fight. Walking along the sycamore path, Jiao Wei suddenly remembered the first time he came here. That day, a black cat led him through this path. "Hey, your school is quite harmonious." Qing Feng's words pulled Jiao Wei back to reality. Looking in the direction Qing Feng pointed, Jiao Wei saw a large lawn near the eastern courtyard. There, under the camphor tree, a young man sat casually on the grass. He held a thick book and stared at the pages as if he was looking at an enemy. There were 3 cats lying next to the young man. Jiao Wei recognized all of them. The fat dragon Li was lying there peacefully with its eyes closed and taking a nap. Huang was rubbing its back on the grass. The sheriff was flapping its paws as if it had found something on the grass. As he read, the young man put the book down on the grass and rubbed a Huang who was rubbing against him, a few times as if he was kneading dough. Then he rolled on the grass and whispered as he rolled, "It's so hard, so hard." Qing Feng saw this scene and sighed. "Hey, it's so good to be a cat. There's not so much trouble. There's no need to memorize books, take exams, train in the hot weather, write notes, and no one will scold you if you don't do well." "Is it good to be a cat?" Jiao Wei asked. "How would I know? I've never been a cat." Qing Feng laughed. "How about being a cat? Who knows? That's all for now. I'm preparing a new book. I'll try to release it in January.